The House will come to order. Conference committee reports on House files.
Conference committee report on House File number 1829, an act relating to commerce prohibiting discrimination against organ or bone marrow donors. The conference committee report is addressed to the Honorable Melissa Hortman, Speaker of the House, and the Honorable David J. Osmick, President of the Senate. We, the undersigned conferees for House File 1829, report that we've agreed upon the items in dispute and recommended as follows. The conference committee is signed by all three members on the behalf of the House and all three conference members on behalf of the Senate. Her moves that the report of the conference committee on House File number 1829 be adopted and that the bill be repassed as amended by the conference committee.
I recognize the author of the report, the member from Ramsey, Representative Herr.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And the conference committee worked to just work out some technical issues. It was just on a date that we were working through, and so the conference committee agrees to the changes, and I do ask for support of the bill.
Any further discussion to the conference committee report? There being no further discussion, all those in favor of the motion to adapt the conference committee report on House File 1829 say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The motion prevails. The clerk will give the bill its third reading as amended by conference.
Third reading, House File number 1829, as amended by conference.
Third reading as amended by conference. Any further discussion? I recognize the author of the report, the member from Ramsey, Representative Herr. Oh, excuse me, I recognize the member from Wabasha, Representative Drazkowski.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the author yield for question?
She will yield, Representative Drazkowski.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative Herr, I'm trying to remember this bill when it came across. I don't have it in front of me. I know it's a short bill. I attempted to pull it up, and as I remember the bill, does this create another mandate for insurance company coverages, for insurance policy coverages for Minnesotans?
I recognize the member from Ramsey, Representative Herr.
Mr. Speaker, Representative Drazkowski, from what I understand, it is not a mandate. Right now, the insurance company, the way that they look at somebody who has had a marrow or a bone or a organ transplant, that there is no information that says that they are at higher risk, and so the assessments they make is actually a decision on their own. It's just, this bill just says that they cannot discriminate against an individual who has donated marrow or an organ.
Representative Drazkowski.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Representative Herr. Representative Herr, would you yield again?
She will continue to yield, Representative Drazkowski.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So, Representative Herr, what does that mean? Will not discriminate. Does that mean that they have to provide coverage for that person? Is that what it means?
Representative Herr.
Mr. Speaker, Representative Drazkowski, I think that under the law, when we say that there is no discrimination, it means that if there is no merit for why somebody's either being denied coverage or being charged a higher policy for whatever they're looking for, that they are no longer able to do that under this law.
Representative Drazkowski.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Representative Herr. I still don't have the bill in front of me. I will pull it up, but as I recall, it did provide a mandate for insurance companies, and therefore will add to the list of 69 or 70 insurance mandates that we currently have on the books if they're health insurance coverage. But I think actually this was life and long-term insurance, wasn't it? But it, again, is another mandate, as I remember, and I'll look further and make my decision as I proceed to the vote. But I think we need to take a look at that and what that does. Members, much of what we've been doing here this session is providing mandates on businesses, which result in higher prices, higher cost to businesses. We've been providing mandates on local governments, which provide higher costs for taxpayers and less options and less freedom for our students, for taxpayers and others throughout our state. And I'm hopeful that this is not going that way. But thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Representative Herr, and thank you, members.
Any further discussion? I recognize the member from Olmsted, Representative Quam.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the author yield to a question?
She will yield, Representative Quam.
Approximately how many people a year donate an organ or bone marrow or would fall under this, where they're doing this service to save a life? About how many lives are these people saving a year?
I recognize the member from Ramsey, Representative Herr.
Mr. Speaker, and Representative Quam, and my apologies, I actually don't have that number in front of me, but we do know that there is actually not enough people to donate, and that we have people who are on long-term dialysis who never receive organs that they are waiting for or the transplants that they need, and that each person who is actually, so for kidney, who go through dialysis, that costs the government $60,000 a year in order to keep that person on dialysis. And so there is actually there's not enough people out there to donate, and we hope that this bill will help by preventing discrimination, that more people will be willing to donate and to save people's lives.
Representative Quam.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So members, the idea behind this is to save more lives, which in turn saves considerable amount of medical cost, and the effect is to somebody that saved a life to not have them suffer any discouragement because of that. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I recognize the member from Fillmore, Representative Davids.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I would just like to thank the author of the bill, Representative Herr, for bringing this bill forward. It's a very important bill. Representative Herr worked with all the interested parties and put a very good deal together. I hope we can all go green on this bill.
Any further discussion? I recognize the author of the report, the member from Ramsey, Representative Herr.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Representative Davids. We did work really hard to ensure there was bipartisan support on this bill, and it also had bipartisan support in the Senate. It is a really good bill. We don't have enough people who are willing to donate organs because they are worried about the consequences, even though the data and statistics tell us that those who have donated an organ or marrow do not have any higher incidence of health issues, and that doesn't cost our healthcare system any more money than an individual who hasn't donated. And so I ask your green vote on this. It is a really good bill, and it will save additional lives, as Representative Davids mentioned. So thank you, and I ask for a green vote.
There being no further discussion, the clerk will take the roll. Members, please vote. Will the clerk please call the names of members who have not yet voted?
Anderson.
Anderson, aye.
Anderson, aye. Bolden.
Bolden, aye.
Bolden, aye. Frazier. Frazier. Freiberg.
Freiberg, aye.
Freiberg, aye. Garofalo.
Garofalo, aye.
Garofalo, aye. Gomez. Gomez. Gomez, aye. Gruenhagen.
Gruenhagen, aye.
Gruenhagen, aye. Hanson J.
Hanson, J, aye.
Hanson J, aye. Hausman.
Hausman, aye.
Hausman, aye. Hornstein. Hornstein, aye. Lippert.
Lippert, aye.
Lippert, aye. Lucero.
Lucero, no.
Lucero, no. Mariani. Mariani.
Mariani, aye.
Mariani, aye. Mecklin. Mecklin. Moran. Moran. Pearson.
Pearson, aye.
Pearson, aye. Pinto. Pinto, aye. Schumacher.
Schumacher, aye.
Schumacher, aye. Thompson. Thompson. West. West. Frazier.
Frazier, aye.
Frazier, aye. Mecklin. Mecklin. Moran. Don't think it's on speakerphone. Moran. Moran, aye. Thompson. Thompson. West. West.
The clerk will close the roll. There being 125 ayes and 6 nays, the bill is repassed as amended by conference and its title agreed to. Messages from the Senate.
A message from the Senate, Madam Speaker. I hereby announce the passage by the Senate of the following House file, herewith returned as amended by the Senate, in which amendments to concurrence of the House is respectfully requested. House file number 3255, an act relating to commerce. The message is signed Cal R. Ludeman, Secretary of the Senate. Stephenson moves that the House concur in the Senate amendments to House file number 3255 and that the bill be repassed as amended by the Senate.
I recognize the author of the concurrence, the member from Anoka, Representative Stephenson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is the bill that came off this floor as the Commerce Technical Bill. It comes back to us with a number of provisions that were agreed to by the Commerce Chair and the other body and I as part of our Commerce budget and policy negotiations. I'll happily walk through those provisions. They include an appropriation to the Commerce Department to supplement the outstanding auto theft prevention program that they run. We would give them $522,000 in a one-time appropriation to create an equipment library. That would allow the Commerce Department to maintain equipment that is too expensive for local police departments to operate to assist in combating auto theft, such as automatic license plate readers, bait cars, and cameras. We also expand the jurisdiction of the Excellent Commerce Fraud Bureau, which is an outstanding law enforcement agency that we have in the Department of Commerce that focuses on insurance fraud. We would expand it to allow them to focus as well on financial crimes, bringing much needed enforcement into the white collar space, as illustrated most recently in the report on what's been happening down at the Vikings facility in Egan with $100,000 worth of wage theft occurring there. We also would fund 5 new peace officer positions within the Commerce Fraud Bureau out of the general fund. We also fund positions within the insurance division and the securities division at the department to help them deal with their expanded workload that they have there. We want to make sure that we have a very responsive department that's able to work quickly to keep our businesses competitive by having a good regulatory structure. The bill also contains the pre-licensure provisions that were in the Commerce Omnibus as it left this floor, although for financial reasons we did remove Pelsby from it. I think Representative Erickson will be pleased with that, and that program won't begin until the first year of the tails as well in order to make sure that it's well funded. We did have a few things that we were unable to bring over that I do want to mention. One is the catalytic converter theft provisions that we had in the bill coming off the House floor. The Senate was unwilling to do the work that we wanted on scrap yards and auto dealers. That is really regrettable because catalytic converter theft, of course, is a pernicious problem. In my hometown of Coon Rapids, they're getting one report of a catalytic converter theft every day. We'll have to continue to work on that. The bill also doesn't include Representative Robbins' excellent bill on social media regulation of algorithms targeting young children, which is a missed opportunity, I think, to combat a really pernicious problem that we have about eating disorders and other problems afflicting young people. I thought Representative Robbins did excellent work on that bill. I hope that we see it again because that problem is not going away. So that, members, are the changes to the bill since you last saw it, and I would ask for your yes vote.
Is there any discussion on the Senate amendments? There being no further discussion, all those in favor of the motion to concur with the Senate amendments, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. The motion prevails, and the clerk will give the bill its third reading as amended by the Senate.
Third reading, House File Number 3255, as amended by the Senate.
Third reading as amended by the Senate. Any further discussion? I recognize the author, the member from Anoka, Representative Stephenson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is a great bill. I ask for a yes vote.
There being no further discussion, the clerk will take the roll. Would the clerk please call the names of members who have not yet voted?
Anderson.
Anderson, no.
Anderson, no. Frazier.
Frazier, aye.
Frazier, aye. Freiberg.
Freiberg, aye.
Freiberg, aye. Gruenhagen.
Gruenhagen, no.
Gruenhagen, no. Hanson, J.
Hanson, J.I.
Hanson, J, aye. Hausman.
Hausman, aye.
Hausman, aye. Lippert.
Lippert, aye.
Lippert, aye. Lucero.
Lucero, no.
Lucero, no. Mariani.
Mariani, aye.
Mariani, aye. Pearson.
Pearson, no.
Pearson, no. Schumacher.
Schumacher, no.
Schumacher, no. Thompson. Thompson.
Thompson, aye.
Thompson, aye.
The clerk will close the roll. There being 70 ayes and 64 nays, the bill is repassed as amended by the Senate and its title agreed to. Messages from the Senate.
Message from the Senate, Madam Speaker. I hereby announce that the Senate has concurred in and adopted the report of the Conference Committee on Senate File Number 4476, an act relating to redistricting. The Senate has repassed said bill in accordance with the recommendation report of the Conference Committee. The message is signed Cal R. Ludeman, Secretary of the Senate. Conference report on Senate File 4476. The report is addressed to the Honorable David J. Osmick, President of the Senate, the Honorable Melissa Hortman, Speaker of the House. We, the undersigned conferees for Senate File number 4476, report that we have agreed upon the item in dispute and recommended as follows. The report is signed by 2 of the 3 members of the Senate and 3 of the 3 members of the House. Murphy moves that the report of the Conference Committee on Senate File number 4476 be adopted and that the bill be repassed as amended by the Conference Committee.
I recognize the author, the member from St. Louis, Representative Murphy.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Members of the House, House File 4476 is the Secretary of State's recommended redistricting changes and corrections that should take place. And but before I talk about that, I would like to, because I haven't had an opportunity at an earlier time, or I forgot, I would like to thank the staff that worked with us since before February to work on redistricting. Nancy Conley was the committee administrator for the Democrats. Brian Cook worked with Representative Torkelson, who is the lead Republican on the commission, and Chris McCall and Sarah Burt worked so hard all those months, and Dax all those months on maps and maps and maps. Which brings me to an unheralded person that many of you have never even knew serves the House of Representatives and the Senate in the GIS office on maps all the time, every day, every working day of the year. And you can get any kind of map you want for your district today or next year or forever, as long as he works here. And that is one of the people that I have met over the years and have gone to for many details of where the population changes, who's living in those areas, what is the school district like when it goes through 1 or 2 cities or into several counties. And within hours or minutes or a couple days only, Lee Mueller gives results. And he is someone that every single representative and every single senator should meet someday, because he knows his maps, and then you can too. But this bill wasn't so much about maps, it was about corrections to maps and the principles of the redistricting committee that we established back and talked about back in February and established in March. And one of those principles was the privacy of the vote. And there were a few instances that were brought to our attention and the attention of the Secretary of State of Minnesota that warranted changes in the map that was revealed to us by the courts. The House position prevailed, and all 3 House members, Representative Torkelson, Representative Cleburne, and myself, signed the report right on the computer. We can sign committee reports right on the computer nowadays. And that happened about 4 hours ago. I would appreciate your support, and thank you very much. Vote green.
Is there any further discussion on the conference committee report? There being no further I recognize the member from Brown, Representative Torkelson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Chair Murphy, for your work on this bill. I recommend a green vote.
Any further discussion? There being no further discussion, all those in favor of the motion to adopt the conference committee report on Senate File 4476, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. The motion prevails. The clerk will give the bill its 3rd reading as amended by conference.
3rd reading, Senate File number 4476, as amended by conference.
3rd reading is amended by conference. Any further discussion? I recognize the author, the member from St. Louis, Representative Murphy. There being no further discussion, the clerk will take the roll. Will the clerk please call the names of members who have not yet voted?
Anderson.
Anderson, aye.
Anderson, aye. Frazier.
Frazier, aye.
Frazier, aye. Garofalo.
Garofalo, aye.
Garofalo, aye. Gruenhagen.
Gruenhagen, aye.
Gruenhagen, aye. Hanson, J.
Hanson J. I.
Hanson, J, aye. Hausman.
Hausman, I.
Hausman, aye. Lippert.
Lippert, aye.
Lippert, aye. Lucero. Lucero, aye. Mariani. Mariani. Pearson.
Pearson, aye.
Pearson, aye. Schumacher.
Schumacher, aye.
Schumacher, aye. Thompson.
Thompson, aye.
Thompson, aye. Mariani. Mariani.
The clerk will close the roll. There being 133 ayes and 0 nays, the bill is repassed as amended by conference and its title agreed to. I recognize the member from Hennepin, the Majority Leader, Representative Winkler.
Mr. Speaker, I move a recess to the call of the chair.
Representative Winkler moves a recess to the call of the chair. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. No. The motion prevails and the House stands in recess.